Hey everybody, it's Jennifer J. Welcome back. I am so excited today. I'm having a party because this is our 100th episode. And I say our because, you're part of it. And I'm so glad you're watching. And so I just wanted to take time to say thank you, first of all, for even watching it all. God has been so amazing through this whole journey. So I am going to get comfortable and I'm going to talk to you guys today. Some of you are watching for the very first time, and I get that. And some of you have watched from the very beginning, so you've heard this whole story. And I hope that you'll bear with me because there's a lot of people that are viewing that have started in the middle, or they've started today, or they've started not from number one. So they don't know the whole story. And I thought, what better way to celebrate the 100th episode than to just kind of go back and do a recap of the last 99. It'll be really fast, I promise. I'm gonna try not to go over. I do have my timer set. But for those that didn't start at the very beginning, maybe they don't know how, or they didn't know that they were supposed to, or whatever, I thought it might be neat to go back and kind of explain why I'm doing this and what God's doing and that He can be trusted and just all the things, right? So, and some of you, Carrie especially, I know you watch diligently all the time. I think that some of the story kind of you forget, or, because you watched from the very beginning, you might have forgot, or you might have missed a piece or something because there's been so much. So I hope you enjoy it. But we're going to start with When God Said Go. So that is the name kind of my channel moving forward, When God Says Go. But I was living in Kansas, just south of Kansas City, and a little tiny town named Gardner, Kansas. And I had bought a house. I just bought a house, and my daughter lived 10 minutes north of me with my grandkids, and my son lived 10 minutes south of me with my grandkids, and I was just perfectly located to see those grandbabies whenever I wanted. So we did lots of Grammy dates, we did sleepovers, I did holiday stuff with them. I tried to do special stuff all the time. I did winter door decorations with them, and cookies decorating at Valentine's Day, and just lots of different stuff. We just did lots of stuff together and really, really enjoy my grandkids. So in September, I closed on my house in September, but also in September, just before I closed on my house, the word Arizona was kind of coming to the forefront. And the word move was also kind of in my face a lot. And so lots of different ways, and I don't have time to go into all the things. If you want to see that, you can go back to the very first one and watch from the beginning. But I went to church one day, and there was a great big red banner with the word move on it, and then they had flags with the word move and table coverings and books and all the things, and I was just like, okay, God has sent me a literal sign, like a literal sign that says move. But I went home one Sunday, and I pulled in the driveway, and I was like, okay, God, I know you're not going to send me to Arizona, 1,200 miles away from my family, without a ministry. So could you at least maybe tell me what that is? And right then on the radio, kid you not, they introduced a man from Phoenix that mentors foster kids aging out of the system. And I was a foster mom in Kansas. I was a licensed foster mom. And so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I hear you. And so then the next day I do my prayers and my devos in the morning, and I told God, okay, but if it's really, really you, I know I was human, and I said, I just need to see that word move one more time. And so I get done with my prayers, and I open Facebook on my phone, right? And usually it's my favorites. So I have 4 sisters and 4 adult children, and those are my favorites, and that's who I usually see in the morning. And so I opened Facebook, and the very first post was not from any of them. It was from a realtor partner that I really hardly know and hardly ever see on Facebook. I think I'd met her in person one time at an event, a networking event. Anyway, it was her, and she posted something about we're not promised tomorrow, so what you have to do, move now. I turned off Facebook and I look up at the ceiling and I said, I hear you loud and clear. I knew God was calling me to Arizona, okay? No doubt. So then just before Christmas, I went to Albuquerque to see my best friend Raquel. Hi Raquel, I know you're watching. And I'm doing my Advent Bible study. I use YouVersion. Many of you have heard me talk about that. If you don't have it, find it in the App Store, YouVersion Bible. And I'm reading my Advent Bible study, and it was when the shepherd boys come to the angels come to the shepherd boys and tell them that Jesus has been born, right? Many of you know that story. If you don't, you can look it up in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, New Testament. And I misspoke just then because John doesn't start there. But anyway, you can find the Christmas story. So the angels came and they made haste, which means they just went right away, right? So they made haste and they went to find him. And the application that day was, what God has told you to do, move now. And so I did. I woke up my friend. I said, I gotta go. Within 30 minutes, I was in my car driving 6 more hours to Arizona to go to OCJ Ministries. So I get there and they're closed. And so I'm pulling on the door and I'm knocking on the window because I think somebody's gotta be in there, right? God didn't send me 6 hours more of a drive for them to be closed. So I get back in the car and I'm like, okay, God, do you want me to wait? Or that's all the further I got in my thought. A car pulls up beside me and I get out and I said, are you with OCJ? And she said, yes, I am, but we're closed. And I said, I know, but God just sent me here, and so here I am. And she kind of looked at me funny and said, well, come on in. She took me around, showed me everything. Again, you can hear all the details if you start at the beginning. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. And then at the end, she said, so are you ready to move? Are you kidding me? So I leave there and I go back to New Mexico to my friends, another 6 hours to drive and talk to God, and just going, oh my goodness, what are you doing, God? And so when I get back to Kansas on New Year's Eve, my friend that lives in Arizona calls and he's like, what time is your church on Sunday or on New Year's Eve? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't have church on New Year's Eve. Well, what are you talking about? We always have church on New Year's Eve. And I'm like, where do you go? And I'll watch it. And so he told me where he goes to church, and I turned it on live and watched it, and it was really, really good. So on Sunday, that was on a Friday night in 21, New Year's Eve 21. So on Sunday, then I went to my church in Gardner, and then I went to their church online, just on my cell phone, right? I'm on my iPhone from 1,200 miles away. I'm watching their church, and I'm just bawling because I'm home, you guys. Like right here, I could feel it. I was home. And I hadn't felt like that in 10 years. I had gone to the very same church for 23 years, and I was home there. And when that all fell apart, and again, you can watch it in the story, but 10 years, I just did not feel home. So for me to feel that again with strangers 1,200 miles away, I was just so excited. You guys, I was so excited. And so January, I had asked my sister, she lives in Connecticut, but she was going to be in Arizona in a Verbo, and she said they wouldn't be here the first week of January. That's when I had planned to go to OCJ. God obviously had different plans. But she called me and she said, the people in Texas have COVID. We're not going. If you want to go ahead and come. So I made another trip, drove back to Arizona, and she said, so are you moving to Arizona? And I said, I couldn't say the words out loud, right? I just, like I knew I was, but it seemed so crazy. Like I'm gonna leave my grandkids and I'm gonna move 1,200 miles away. It just seemed so crazy, but I knew God was telling me to. And so I said, let me go out and take a walk and talk to God for a minute, and I'll come back and tell you. So I went out and took a walk, and I talked to God, and I'm like, God, am I really doing this? Like, is this really what you're telling me to do? Like, financially, I didn't even know what I was going to do. And it just seemed so crazy. It just, but right when I asked him to please confirm that for me, I heard a song. I had my earbuds in, right? I'm listening to Caleb again. And The Commission by Cain came on. And I have never heard that song. You guys, if you haven't heard it, please look it up on YouTube. The Commission by Cain, C-A-I-N. That is their last name. 3 siblings. And I had never heard this song. And oh my goodness, it's as if Jesus is talking and he's saying, see my hands and look at my feet. And I know it's hard to believe, but go tell the world about me. I'll be with you wherever you go. I was just a mess. I went back and I told my sister, yes, I'm moving to Arizona. So when I leave her, I stayed with her for 11 days. It was amazing. I went to church. That was fabulous. I visited OCJ again. You can hear all about all those amazing stories. There's way too much to tell you today, but lots and lots of amazing stories in there. And I'm driving home and I'm talking to God and I'm bawling my head off because I'm like, how am I going to move to Arizona? Like, I don't have enough money. I just bought a house. I can't afford rent. I can't sell my house and make what I just paid for it. I bought it at the top of the bidding wars, in 21, and now turning around to sell it when the market had already dropped. And I'm just bawling and telling him I don't have any family there, and I don't know how I'm going to pay rent there, and like all the things, right? I'm just crying out to him. And he's okay with that, you guys. He knows how you feel. You might as well tell him, right? So I'm just unloading on him. And within 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, my sister calls me. And she lives in Connecticut. She has a condo that she adores, and it's right on the water. And she calls me and she says, guess what? We just bought a house in Arizona. And I'm like, what? And she said there was an open house, and they walked through it, and they loved it, and they bought it. They weren't even looking to do that at all, you guys. And so I'm like, okay. And then she's like, and we closed the end of February, but we're not going to be there till the end of May. So just go live there. You can just go live there while we're gone. I'm like wiping my tears, going, I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry. I didn't trust you, right? Just amazing, amazing stuff the way he's answered. And so I go home and I start getting stuff together, and God has clearly told me that I am to move on March the 1st, but I don't have to be there until March the 6th. And so I'm like going, why is there a week? Like, it only takes 2 days to get there. I don't understand why there's a week. And my friend, Robin, I hope you're watching, Robin, says maybe you're supposed to go to the Potter's house, because if you watch the story, you'll figure how T.D. Jakes ties into all this. I hadn't heard of him before until now. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I could go to the Potter's house in Dallas. And so I have another sister in Dallas. And so I told her I'm going to come and we'll go to the Potter's house. Well, I have to go on a Wednesday because I'm leaving like on a Tuesday or on a Monday, and I have to be in Arizona before Sunday, or by Sunday. So I couldn't go on a Sunday, but I could go on Wednesday. So we go on Wednesday. And we get there really, like, when we're actually there 30 minutes before the doors open. So we get there and I'm so excited, and I meet these 2 gentlemen that are sitting at the front row, and we sit in the front row because obviously I want to sit in the front row. I wanted to sit on the stage and they told me I couldn't. So anyway, Bishop Jakes was not there, so I was sad, but the one that spoke was amazing. And so, these 2 young men that were beside me, they were like, why are you here from Kansas City? And so I'm like, well, let me tell you. And so I tell them all the things that I've just told you in a little more detail, but also God had told me to start a YouTube channel, which I didn't want to do because I know nothing about technology. And I asked him to send help, like he sent Moses help, and he said no. And he said, I want you to learn. And I really didn't want to, so I kept asking people to help me, and everybody said no. And I was like, I knew you were going to say no because God told me to do it myself. And they're like, then why are you asking me? I'm like, because I don't want to do it by myself. That's why this is unedited, because I don't know how to do that. And I've even tried, and it never takes. It says it's done, but then it doesn't save, and I don't know. I've given up on that, but I've gone ahead and I do the channel, right? So you see me sit down, you see me stand up when it's over. It's fine, it's whatever. It's not professional, but God told me to do it, so I'm just being obedient and doing it. So, and that is my timer, so I have to hurry and stop. But I go to the Potter's house, and Pastor Dobbins gets up to speak, and his sermon is called Use Your Voice, and you can find it on YouTube, the Potter's House, and it's Use Your Voice by Pastor Dobbins. And so James and I are sitting here looking at each other just with our minds blown, because everything he's saying back to us in the sermon is everything basically that I've just told him. And it's just crazy. We just kept looking at each other because he was just regurgitating everything I just told him God was telling me. And so it was amazing. And at the end of the sermon, I told my sister I wanted to stay and I wanted to talk to the pastor. And so I stand up and I have my hands on the bench in front of me. And I'm just saying to God, you know, if I'm really leaving Dallas and I'm really going to Arizona, I really just want the pastor to come over and pray with me. And you guys, I'm not even kidding you right now. God is just so amazing and so faithful. The pastor was standing on the top step, not the stage, but the top step to the stage. And he had 6 or 7 people around him just talking. The sermon was over. Like, they weren't up there for prayer or anything. They were just chatting. And I got done with my prayer, and he looked up at me, like, just looked at me. And he walked over to me, and he started praying with me. And he put his hand on my head, and he anointed me to go. And then he said, God's telling me to tell you that book he told you to write, he wants you to write it. I was just like, okay. So that was amazing. And I left Dallas feeling on cloud 9, like I am on the right track. I am doing what God's called me to do. And I don't know why he's calling me to do it, but I'm going. And so I've joined the church and just doing all the things. And it's interesting because my friend, it's just been awesome and amazing, and the things that God is doing, and like how I even got to be here, I don't even know. Like, just connecting with an old classmate and having doctors tell me I need to go to Arizona. 2 doctors that told me I should move to Arizona. Like, why Arizona? There's lots of other warm states. And just magazine articles I would read, news articles I would read, all these things that were saying Arizona, Arizona, Arizona. And then the word move, 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 all the time in my face. And I don't know, just blows me away. And so here I am in Arizona, living the life. I miss my kids and grandkids terribly. We talk a lot on FaceTime and stuff, but not the same. I am now a full-time missionary for East West, raising support to fund the work and just doing what God tells me to do. OCJ has got me hooked up with Thrive Arizona. Well, it's called Thrive AZ. They mentor or have a campus for kids that have aged out of the system. So OCJ mentors kids that have aged out of the system. Thrive has an actual campus where they live. And so OCJ does the training for people that are going to volunteer on campus. So I've been to the training and met the directors, and they said I could volunteer there and I could host a Bible study or get involved in that there. They also are opening a homeless shelter. No, I'm saying it wrong. They're opening a thrift store / coffee shop in the heart of downtown Phoenix on the National Day of Prayer, May the 4th. And they've invited me to have a room there where I could have prayer or Bible study or just get to know people. There's a huge homeless population in the area, so they will probably be coming. The kids that have aged out of the system, they are young adults, not kids, I'm just old, are going to be working there at the coffee shop and the thrift store. So they'll be there, and I can get to know them as well. And because it's so hot here, probably people will come in just, to get out of the heat. And so I'm so excited about that, you guys. East West Ministries, which you'll have to go back and watch my whole story to know how that plays in. But at any rate, if you don't know how to get to all of the stories, because if you're on your phone, it only shows you like the last 5. But if you go to videos at the top banner, go to videos, it'll show you all the videos. And you can go back and start at the very beginning and watch the entire incredible story of how God moved me to Arizona. And when God says go, I'm telling you, go. Whatever he's telling you today, I hope you'll do it and trust him, because he has proven over and over and over again he can be trusted. And so I hope that you will listen to him and listen to the rest of my story, all unedited and whatever, because I don't know what I'm doing. I am not a professional YouTuber, obviously, but I hope you'll subscribe. I hope that you will continue to watch and go back and catch up even, and comment. I try to keep up with the comments and respond. So let me know your thoughts. And if you're new, I wish you would comment and let me know why you're watching, because that would be so interesting for me to see. I know I watch my analytics and it's showing me that people are watching worldwide, which is really fabulous, and all different age groups. And so I'm just so intrigued by that and would love to know why you're watching and what you think. And I'm happy to pray for you or answer any questions that I can. So I've gone on long enough. I will stop, but I thank you all for watching. Happy 100th episode. Yay God and all that. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.